Wait, still let her record.
Yeah, I'm recording.
It's July 21st. Welcome to the Environmental Protection Committee meeting. I'm Alice Blank. I want to give a couple of thank yous to my co-chair, Wendy Chapman, who's here for last month's meeting and handled it so beautifully, and had a series of introductions, which I thought was wonderful, which we won't be doing tonight. But thank you. And to Tammy Meltzer, our chair, and to Jeff Galway from Battery Park City Committee, who were very helpful in reviewing things that we would have reviewed tonight about the Northwest Battery Park City FEIS, but for the fact that we had limited time, so it was brilliant to put it into our executive committee. And for the public who's interested in being updated on where we stood on the FEIS at the final hour here, that is something you can do on YouTube. Of the executive committee last Thursday, and additionally, there will be a letter, I think that's a letter, not a resolution, that will be written with the board's final thoughts on the FEIS. So thank you all. So tonight, we're going to hear some really interesting material, I imagine. So we're going to learn a little bit about the Holland Tunnel flood mitigation system, and we have representatives from Port Authority here tonight. You actually, and thank you very much. So first of all, is Chris Lee, maybe let's unmute all of the people that have Port Authority, PA, NY, and J next to their names, and we'll see who wants to kick us off. So Christopher Lee, there you go.
They're all, they're not panelists?
They are.
They're
Yeah,
panelists. They should be able to unmute themselves.
Correct.
They can unmute themselves, they just have to do
Okay,
it.
so Christopher Lee, welcome, and if you can unmute yourself, that would be wonderful. I'm not sure that's happening.
Maybe no
Or,
one's hearing
hold
us.
on, stop.
He's not there.
Chi, can you check to make sure our mics are unmuted? Are they on the bottom left?
Yes. We are unmuted.
Okay.
Next audio, it says?
No, that's not for the right spot.
Got it.
We are with us,
Chris dropped
everybody.
off, but the other Port Authority people are here and they could certainly start. Chris dropped off.
Oh, Chris dropped off. Okay, so.
Hi,
Angela?
everyone. Yeah, it's Tangela. Chris, I'm just messaging him. I think he's rejoining. We also have my colleague Ike Godson already. He's on as an attendee. Is it possible to make him a panelist?
Of course.
Thank you. You should be able to see him. Hey,
You found
Chris.
him?
Yeah, there he is. Hey, Ike. And we have Paul, Chris, and Ike on. I'll hand it over
Everybody-
to Chris.
Everybody looks like they're back, but Chris does,
He's here, Chris Lee.
I don't know if he has a microphone attached, if he's got audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
That's Chris, I think.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hi,
Thank
how are you guys? Sorry about that. How are you doing tonight?
Good to see you and hear you fine.
Okay, good.
So,
Can you guys hear me too? This is
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
great, everybody's here. So, Chris, I'm going to leave it to you.
Okay.
Chris Lee is the Director of Government and Community Relations for the Port Authority, and thank you all for being here. And I'll ask you, Chris, if you don't mind, just to introduce your colleagues as they present. And I'm not sure if this is a visual, I assume, so I assume that's teed up somewhere immediately for.
Yeah, I could share mine, or if Tangela is going to share if she's allowed to.
That's one, actually. So it's called the Holland Tunnel Flood Mitigation. That's not.
There we go.
That might be it.
That's it.
Okay, great. So yeah, thanks for having us. Like you said, my name is Chris Lee, Director of Government Community Relations at the Port Authority. And we have a couple of Port Authority staff on the line as well. We have my colleague Tangela Rahman, who's in the Government Relations Department with me. We have Paul Lucian, who is the General Manager of the Holland Tunnel. And we have Ike Orido, who is the Senior Project Manager for the Holland Tunnel Mitigation Program. So we'll just jump in if you don't mind, if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
Great. Okay. So we're here to talk about a revocable consent application, but first we wanted to just give an overview of our big project, which was the Holland Tunnel salt damage mitigation program. Next slide. So the Aquafence system is that we're coming to you about is part of our larger Holland Tunnel Sandy project. During Sandy in 2012, we had severe flooding in the tubes. It necessitated a closure of 10 full days of the tunnel. We had mechanical systems that were out. There was salt damage to a lot of the systems. And over the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years, we've been closing the tunnel every single night. And we've been repairing almost all of the tiles, the systems, and making major repairs to the tunnel. That's coming to a close now, and those overnight closures are now done. But this last part is a key part of our emergency preparedness plan going forward to protect the Holland Tunnel from storm surges like we saw during Sandy. Next slide. And so, a lot of when I talked to you on the phone the other day, questions about how actually an Aquafence would be deployed and how it would look. So this is a picture of it actually during a demonstration from our contractor at Canal Street, which is right in front of the Holland Tunnel exit. So this is exactly what it would look like on the street. And we're also going to play, if you don't mind, a short video of how it would actually be put into place. So go ahead, Tinjo.
Can you make it full screen?
Yeah.
If that's us?
So, yeah, no,
Sure.
it's not us. It's Port Authority. If you could make it in presentation mode, so it gets rid of all the extraneous menus on the left.
And this would be
or right,
bigger.
and then, yeah.
Okay.
Did you send this to the community board office?
I can if you afterwards, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay, I could play the video. Let's
let's
me just click on it. Hold on.
We have the
this one,
link
right?
to the video.
This is the one, right, Chris?
I can't see anything.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Oh, you
Yeah,
don't know what we're talking
I'm showing my screen, but it's not. I guess it's not sharing the link.
Okay, we'll skip the video. We'll come back to it later.
Okay.
We can do the video on this side. We have a link to it, if I understand
okay.
correctly. The aquafence.com videos, is that the one?
Yeah, the one I sent you. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chi.
I'll click on there's a video section, and like halfway down the screen there is a product application. If you can scroll down. Yeah, the one on the left is a good one, flood wall perimeter protection. Yeah, and that'll show you how it works.
So you may turn on the audio too.
Extend the anchor arms, and for
Got it.
additional stability, install the anchors. The full perimeter of the building is now protected. The flood wall becomes stronger as the floodwater rises due to its self-stabilizing design. To clean up after the flood event, rinse off the panels with clean water, then stack them back in the crates. Standard flood walls range in height from 2.5 to 9 feet. The Aquafence flood wall is easily transportable, designed for rapid deployments and removal. The system is adaptable to site conditions, environmentally friendly, and low maintenance. Aquafence is certified for multiple reuses and can be deployed without special training or heavy machinery. Aquafence flood wall is uniquely patented. Aquafence has U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and FM approval certifications. Protect your property from flooding with Floodwall by Aquafence.
Yeah, great. So Tangela, if you want to just pull up yours again.
Yep. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, you guys could see it?
Not
No,
yet.
Not
I
yet.
think, can you make Tangela a presenter, please?
One second. Can you guys see it
There
now?
we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next slide.
Yeah. So, Ike, would you want to take the slide, Matt?
Yes, yes. So we deploy Aquafence in two stages. The first stage starts as soon as we hear from National Hurricane Center or wherever the announcement comes from. Stage one starts about 54 hours to 18 hours before the start of the storm event. The contractor would have been notified way ahead of that, and then they start moving the equipment to site and start prep and start deploying them. But during this stage, the tunnel is not closed. We don't close traffic. Then the second stage starts 18 hours to 8 hours before the actual storm landing. This is when we finish our deployment and make sure that the area is protected. This stage starts when the final approval by the general manager of the tunnel and by Port Authority leadership. So when we deploy, it takes about 23 shifts for complete deployment of the foldable barrier in New York.
Was that 23 shifts or 2 to 3?
23 shifts. So that's why we're
That's a lot.
starting way ahead, 54 hours ahead of time. It takes about shifts. Yeah, it takes about 5 full nights of closure within those 23 shifts. Sidewalk closures. This affects only Canal Street South side. There's no full closure of all the sidewalks, but final determination will be approved by New York City DOT. We are in negotiations with DOT for the revocable consent agreement. So when we get that, then we know the exact closure sequence. Next slide. And then we will store it also on the New Jersey side. Right after the storm event and water receipts, we'll move it and store it on New Jersey side right by Holland Tunnel Plaza. Aquafence has been tested in various locations. We just want to show you some samples. The first picture on the left side is by Massport Utilities. They're building near the Logan International Airport in Boston. You can see the picture that protects that entire facility. On the right side is the Tampa General Hospital in Tampa, Florida. This has been tested during storm event. It protects the entire hospital facility during storm. And then we actually had a meeting with them some years ago, which is what made us decide that this is the flood barrier to use. We talked to them and we were impressed with the Aquafence equipment. Next slide. Also, in the city of Batavia, upstate New York, Abby's restaurant, they use it to protect it during flood event. You could see that in the picture on your left. And on the right is yet again the biggest deployment, which is the largest grain storage in Hungary, in Europe. This has been tested, has been used in different storm events. It's not too far from the port of Aden in Hungary. So they use it very frequently. Next slide. So in terms of Aquafence in New York City, we are petitioning the New York City Department of Transportation for a revocable consent so that we'll be able to install it on New York property. The way we are going about it is that the anchors will be installed on sidewalks, on pavements, and you can see the picture on the right. We put the sleeves in, flush it with the pavement or with the sidewalk. And when there is a storm event, we come in and we just open the caps and deploy the Aquafence panels in them. So we're almost at the end of our revocable concept. Once we get this finalized, then we can install Aquafence anchors on New York side, on New York property. So these Aquafence themselves consist of deployable panels that are anchored using the permanent anchor sleeves that are pre-installed, and as I explained earlier on, it protects the Holland Tunnel entrance and partially New York City property. So the anchor, the depths on concrete pavements, it's only about 1.5/8 inches deep. It's not too deep. On cobblestones, few areas in New York City, it's about 5.25 inches deep. On asphalt, it goes deeper, 12 inches deep. So that's but for the user, for the community, they wouldn't know this because it doesn't really come off for many years to come. So once we get the revocable consent, then we'll be able to finish up the installation of these sleeves. Next slide. So as per the locations in New York City, it's on Canal Street from Hudson Street to Varick Street. That's shown in red on the map on your left. And that's also shown on the map on your right. It's deployed on the sidewalks on Hudson Street, on Canal Street, and Varick Street. But most of it is on Canal Street's south. We also deployed on the tunnel entrance on the north tube. That's on Broome Street, but that's just tunnel entrance. Next slide. So Chris, let me know, are you going on this one or?
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead, Ike.
Okay. So for the Sandy project, which is, we started this in 2014, right after Hurricane Sandy. We finished construction in the South Tube and the North Tube substantially. Most of the construction is gonna be closed out at summer this year, in a couple of months. We've installed all the panels on all 4 Holland Tunnel portals. There is a floodgate that we're putting on the portal entrances and exits. Next steps, we start our annual closures to test these equipment once a year, twice. That's once on New York side, and the next year it's on New Jersey side. So every 2 years we notice that, but the tunnel will be closed only for one night. So Canal Street, as we explained earlier on, is still pending the revocable consent agreement with the City of New York. That's it, unless you have any questions for us.
Yeah, so I just wanted to recap real quick what you said. Basically, no one in the community will see the Aquafence unless there is a major storm event. It'll be stored away, and then it will be deployed, in the event of an emergency. Basically, all you're going to see is small holes on Canal Street that are covered, and there's going to be no impact to the sidewalk, really. But what it's going to be is a permanent anchor that allows us to quickly deploy the system when that event happens, if and when that event happens. And so that's the crux of the revocable consent application that we're here to talk about. But we thought it'd be nice to just show you exactly what it looks like if and when it does get deployed. So if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them and get back to you if we don't have them on hand right now. So,
Well, we have the slides that they showed at CB2,
Well,
which are far more detailed if you'd like those.
I don't know if there's something to pull up that you
Yes.
think from us. I was gonna ask if they would be good enough to put the slide that shows the plan. But if there's something else that we have, so CB2 has already written a resolution for their revocable consent agreement, and they did, even though they were looking at Broome Street. I think there's a tie in Broome Street, but of course, south side of Canal is our domain, if you will. And when I first saw this, I was mostly interested in introducing this as just understanding the aquafence, and
Yeah.
I had no idea this was going on in northern Tribeca. But the revocable consent was something that is now tied into it, which of course is the Transportation Committee's domain primarily, but we've decided, given the fact that we're at the end of the summer, we would try to kill two birds with one stone. And Betty Kay and other members of her committee have been pretty vocal about this, and I'll try to review some of her points, and obviously in the resolution, they'll be addressed. So anyway, are we able to pull up that plan slide while is there something you've got that?
We have,
can't?
we have them from CV1, if Port Authority wants to pull them up.
Yeah, one is, can you just pull up, Chris, the one that you have right here handy that shows the plan? I think it was just a few slides in, none of the,
It was
just a plan of Canal Street showing the Holland Tunnel and the arrows so that people know where this is actually located.
You passed.
I have a few questions. Oh, Betty's here. Great.
This one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so this one, I think.
there
is-
were far more than that.
Okay, well, if there's something, Tammy, you've got teed up,
We've-
divided to show it.
She has it, if you don't mind, because this is just one photo in the presentation that you have. There are 10 pages on the other one. We might not need all of them, but if you can, open it up, it's in the same folder.
Yeah, in
that
the
you have.
submission, are you talking about in our submission to the DOT?
I
Yeah.
guess that,
Uh,
yes, that's correct.
Port
Okay,
Authority.
yeah, sure.
Okey dokey, great. This is okay, not up yet, okay. While we're waiting to get that organized, just a couple of things that came up, and I'm gonna let the chair of our committee probably address these questions more spot on, but one of them was, you know, when you're putting these anchors into the cobblestones, cobblestones, of course, it's quite literally sacred ground here in much of lower Manhattan. So there's a question about the freezing and the thaw cycle of having something like that in the cobblestone mortar. And how is that being addressed, and who's responsible for the upkeep of that? I'm not sure who gets to answer that, but that's one question.
I believe the Port Authority will be responsible for upkeeping that.
Yes.
You're talking about the cobblestones on Vestry Street, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, I think that would be the Port Authority who would do that.
but how are you addressing the sort of freeze and thaw of it? I mean, in other words, things will crack, I mean, automatically, we know, we've just seen these things being replaced, and is that something that's been analyzed? Have you done this before? Well, I guess not in this city, but in any other city where that's been reviewed in terms of the actual anchoring?
Ike, do you know the answer to that question? Because if not, we're going to have to talk to our engineers and get back to you on it.
Yes, it's been done before, and we went through this with the DOT on especially the cobblestones. We demonstrated that we put them at the joints, and these are anchors that are just going in 5.25 inch deep into the cobblestone at the joints and not in the middle of the cobblestone, so not to crack them. So we selected the special sleeves that will withstand that will not create any problem to the cobblestones.
Well, I wouldn't mind that offer being fulfilled with the engineer's report on it, because I think there were quite a few questions about that were coming to us. So if we could get a little more detail on that as to where they were and how they responded to this, the cobblestones, that would probably be a good thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, if nobody minds, I'm just gonna go over a few questions of people that aren't here that had asked for things that I think are important. Another very important question is, are you looking at the overall, the mitigation of the flooding in terms of all the other, like, how is this not going to flood the entire neighborhood? Like, I understand that you're going to be having this in front of the tunnel, but what happens to the rest of Canal Street? and the areas that are south of it and east of it and west of it, frankly? Like, has that been analyzed? Also, in terms of the gates that are going up on 9A with Battery Park City Authority, which we'll see later, I guess some information on that, but is there some understanding of the whole here, the whole plan for addressing flooding in this neighborhood? It doesn't seem clear to many of us. I don't know if anybody else.
No, I agree with
No,
you. It's not. I
I
think it's
had that
specific.
exact question.
Okay, well, so did,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
jotting that for members who weren't here, I just figured.
Why just that street?
So,
Water's gotta travel.
I'm responsible for that street. Yeah, exactly. This is only to affect the tunnel. This is the tunnel project, so that's,
right,
but is there anything else that's gonna connect to it to address what we're asking?
yeah,
Right. We don't
Chris,
have any plan. We don't have any plans for that. We are focused on in this project on, protecting the tunnel. Like we said, like the tunnel was out of commission for 10 straight days during Sandy, which, caused obviously major problems. It's a major regional transportation structure. And having it out for 10 days is, something that we don't think is acceptable. We're talking about something like this is a major flood event when this would be deployed. It wouldn't be something that, I don't think you're talking about a scenario where there would be a lot of flooding and then all of a sudden we'd be pushing some flooding. There'd be flooding probably, in a lot of places at this point. So we're talking about a major event and we're focused on keeping the tunnel open. And
Open
across
after.
Vestry Street. Yeah, across Vestry Street, that we have the building at the corner of Vestry and Canal. That's the Port Authority's. We have substations there. We have some of our equipment there, so that's why we protected that part as well. And so that was the focus of this plan.
but I mean, just to finish this, I think probably has a lot of iterations. I'm going to open up to questions for everybody in the committee and all. But is there some relationship you have with the resiliency team of the city of New York looking at this holistically, or is it just the Holland
Yeah, it's
Tunnel?
really hot.
That's it. In other words, are you
She-
looking at flooding in this area generally that would be occurring in any kind of a moment of disaster? And looking at what else the city would be doing at this point and other arteries and orifices that are going to be affected? Or is it just the Holland Tunnel? This is only looking at the Holland Tunnel.
Yeah, this project is focused only on the Holland Tunnel. It's not a
Yeah.
regional effort.
Okay.
Just to
All
add
right.
to what Chris was saying, during the design stages, which lasted for more than 4 years, we talked about the bathtub effect. That means if we protect the tunnel, will it worsen the neighborhood? It doesn't. It's not going to make it worse than what it was before we protected the tunnel, because the tunnel is a low-lying area from the rest of the streets. So we just need to protect the tunnel from getting flooded. It doesn't exacerbate what's going on around the tunnel.
If nobody minds, I'm going to call on Betty Kay, the head
Yes.
of our transportation committee, who really is the revocable consent gal here, for, I'm sure, very astute questions. Go ahead, Betty. And Betty was, she's
unmuted.
good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you, because usually it's the Transportation Committee that handles the revocable consents for the DOT. So my focus questions are going to be in that direction, even though some of these things have been touched upon a bit already. I understand it's very important to protect the Holland Tunnel, but we have to look after our community, and we don't really need your problems moved over into our neighborhoods, especially since it's so heavily residential. But I'm worried about the businesses along Canal Street as well. So I have really 4 questions to ask about the aqua fence, and they are installed throughout our district, so this is not really a new issue. It is important to know how long those sidewalks will be closed on Canal Street and all the others, because that affects the pedestrian movement, the access to stores and buildings. So although you say you're going to come to us later, you have to realize it's hard for us to make a statement regarding revocable consent without that information first. Second of all, CB1's district budget has requested repairs to cobblestone streets for over a decade with little response. Vestry Street was one of the only streets that has been upgraded in response to our requests. So the fact that you want to drill, and I know we are concerned about the cobblestones, but what really cracks and gives us problems is that area between the cobblestones that stabilize them. So in fact, moving the sleeve over doesn't really help us a whole lot in that regard. The degradation is a huge concern. So we'd like to know a lot more about that, the engineering aspects of that. And it is a concern also because the Port Authority refused to allow installation of any congestion pricing infrastructure on street space controlled by the Port Authority around the Holland Tunnel. So we know that interagency cooperation has been a problem in the past. We're trying to handle it as well as we can in advance. Third, one of the benefits highlighted in the Aquafence videos is that it diverts water. So it's easy to say, oh, well, it's coming down anyway, so you won't see any difference. I find that very hard to believe. Yeah. The water that doesn't go here, that same quantity has to go somewhere else. So we'd like to see some of the engineering to show exactly where it's going and how much would be going for different downpours. Again, part of that has to do with the resiliency, and the request also for my final request is Rotary Park has come up in the past with trying to turn the center of the Rotary into a big giant sponge to absorb some of this water. It's already a problem in the area. Now if you're going to divert more of it away from your small bit of turf to other parts of those same streets, problems are even worse. And many of the buildings are very concerned about it. So also would like to know if there's been any talk from the Port Authority about working with the Rotary and turning it into something that would be help resiliency and move some of this water out. It has to have somewhere to go. And so it's not very heartening to know the Port Authority is against doing anything with the Rotary space in the middle and then believe they care at all about the buildings. So protecting your tunnel is great, but don't make it our headache.
So, Chris and team, do you want to thanks, Betty, those all, of course, excellent points. Want to address some of that and then tell us how it will be addressed so we can move forward?
Yeah, no, we're happy. I'm happy to get an engineering report and look into exactly what was studied about, where the water moves and how it does. And I'm happy to track that down and bring it back to you guys for sure. I'll look into the cobblestone issue more. I know that's very sensitive for you. So let me get all the information on that as well. We've talked with the people for Rotary Park a number of times, and we have a department at the Port Authority that was looking into that proposal, the Chief Resiliency Sustainability in our engineering department. We've talked to them a lot about their plan. I don't believe we are opposed to using the Rotary as some sort of sponge, which was one of the examples that he was advocating for. So I don't think that's something that we're opposed to. But we're happy to talk a lot more about that.
Well, that's good news. And in fact, Peter Ballmer is on family vacation right now, but he'll be glad to hear that and probably in touch with you when he gets back.
Oh, sure. We've talked to Peter a number of times. Peter's talked to the chief architect of the Port Authority. We've set up meetings for him and the general manager. So yeah, we've talked to him a bunch of times. I don't think we've ever flat out said no. So that's something we're willing to speak about and listen to for sure.
Well, in fact, are you also willing to consider extending the Aquafence a bit if that would make a big change, beneficial for us, change in where the water is diverted to?
Oh, where would you recommend? Or you'd have to.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know.
You know, okay. We'd be happy to listen to that. Absolutely.
I just want to say the public is aware that the project that Betty's referring to is a project the Community Board 1 has supported. It's a project by architects Bauman and Kapilova. It was called Urban Sponge. It was a very clever and thoughtful project to turn what was, I think, called St. John's Park, also known as Holland Tunnel Park, into a resilient feature by actually covering it in grasses and things. And it was a terrific idea. So, Chris, that's great that you would be supportive of that as you move forward in this project. Tammy, our chair, has asked if you'd be good enough to go over the slides that are,
these slides that were presented to CB2 that actually show exactly where you're putting these things and some of the depth in the cobblestone, as well as the water slides are right on here as well. So I'm sure since it's part of the project and you presented to CB2,
Yeah.
you should be able to opine and talk about it here. It's only 8 slides, so this one was already on yours.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if you don't mind, she can move forward and you can go over these, because I think it's a far more detailed explanation of what's going on. And quite frankly, almost all of it is in CB1. So we will need to do a resolution that gets sent to DOT for revocable consent with our concerns, if any, and our feedback, and whether it's positive or negative. But we do need to do that because technically CB2 should not be opining on the historic district that's in CB1.
Yeah, just to be clear, this was not this was not presented at Community Board 2. It was filed with the Department of Transportation, but it was not presented as CB2. So I don't want you to think we did a much more extensive version for CB2 than we did for you. We just wanted to kind of do an overview of the basics. But we're happy. I think I can go talk to these slides pretty easily. So we're not shy from that. So
Great.
okay, great. And with keeping in the questions that have already been brought up and also keep in mind that we have a few fix up the agenda, but great. Thank you.
So this slide, you can see the slides as well as we can, correct, Chris?
yeah.
So I think pursuant to what Betty's saying and everybody else has said about the water and where it goes, these maps are showing when the water is inundated in something like what you're talking about, that you'll be putting up the aqua fence. So
That green is canal, yes, that.
yes, that
Yeah.
green long one is
that
canal.
long Snake.
Canal.
Right. So I guess the question starts to be, when you put up the aqua fence,
Go in that picture.
the water's gonna go to the dry areas, correct?
Sure. Okay.
I have a,
Is that correct?
Ike, do you know the answer to that question?
We don't know where the water will go, depending on the elevations at each spot. We'll just be, we don't know what flood, where it's coming from, but it will follow the green area and start expanding as the flood rises. Yes, the dry areas will be flooded too when there's hurricane.
I have a,
We don't have a pointer or something, right?
We do.
Where would it cut off? We point here, like, so show me, this is Canal Street,
Yeah.
what's this?
that's
That-
Hudson,
Hudson?
doesn't,
No,
yes, that's Hudson.
Hudson Street. Hudson Street, like Hudson, okay. And so,
Yeah, where's the?
where's the tunnel, so where's the entrance to the tunnel, because I'm an idiot.
I-
All the way up there.
No, not there.
No, I think
That's
they're
not
right
there.
there.
Right there.
Here.
Yeah. then you can
Well,
see
no.
The rotary.
No, By Hudson Street,
It's on the other side.
north of Canal,
Yeah.
north of Canal, off of Hudson.
Maybe this
The
is
rotary
right
is the
here.
exit. Yeah. So north of Canal is where the entrance is.
That's the entrance.
Right,
Entrance
then,
is
north,
here,
right, north of Canal,
Red thing.
Where the red thing is, okay. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're putting, so where's the fence gonna go?
blocking the entrance.
Another,
But
Is there another
the
slide that
fence is-
shows where it will
another
be?
slide better for the street.
There's two fences.
Up top, this is the last one.
There's one going in front of the tunnel to shut it off,
Yeah, it has to be, right across the
Yeah,
entrance to the tunnel.
but then
No,
there's one on Canal Street, I'm not sure
If you go
why.
back to page 5,
There's two entrances.
it shows where the aqua fences are.
One on the, on two entrances? No, there's not one entrance on the outside.
That's,
Page 5.
that's
It
what
must
the
be a
low
high,
ground
it
is.
must be a
There,
low.
That's one.
next.
That's the cobblestone depth.
That's not it.
Yeah.
No.
That's one more, there you go, that's the Holland Tunnel entrance, and then
That
this
was the one
is,
that could actually.
and this is the
aqua
aqua fence.
And the aqua fence is this red.
Yep.
Do you want to just drive back,
We need
Chris,
another-
so we can,
And I'm on your
we
way,
can tell
tell
them
me.
maybe that point and guess, but you can just take us through that. starting.
I'm not sure what
Yeah.
what direction we're looking here.
We're looking.
East-west is horizontal. North-south is, well, not.
Yes,
So-
this is a view.
The view south. This is a view south, okay?
Yeah, the top of the page is south. This is the right.
So can I just ask this really dumb question here?
You need to do it loudly because Wendy's talking behind.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
The water in the prior slide showed that it goes along canal.
Mhm.
What I simply don't understand is how the aqua fence south of canal does anything to protect the Holland Tunnel. It's just not making sense to me. Can you explain that?
Yeah, yes, Chris, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
If
sure.
you look at this picture, Canal Street is still open. We are the aquafence where you see the Interstate 87 Holland Tunnel is the tunnel itself coming up. So this aquafence is protecting the areas around the tunnel. Canal Street as a road is still open. It's just the sidewalk.
Sidewalk.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's just the sidewalk.
How does it?
Does it cross the
But
street?
why,
Does it
what
cross?
he's trying to say is, we don't understand why you have to have it, you have it in front of the tunnel. But why on the street? How is that protecting?
The tunnel.
Can I add, wait, can I just butt in, before it was mentioned that they own a building that is,
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
fill in better what it is, but that's on the corner of Hudson and Canal Street.
Right there, block
Yeah.
221.
Lot
Lot one
one.
right there. Mhm.
Yes, this
Block
building
12,
right here.
I'm gonna ask you not to speak, just yell out. So thank you. Chris, go ahead and
You want
respond
to
to
give,
that.
Chi, can you give me the slide thing and I'll use laser pointer?
Yeah, I was going to
So
say
the
that the
question-
Port Authority owns the corner property right there, which is block 221, lot 1. That is our building. It's a substructure. It's a maintenance building. And so that's why we would put the aquafence across
Put it
there.
So the aqua fence is protecting that building, has nothing to do with the Holland Tunnel itself.
It
Is that
does.
correct?
Yeah, no, it does.
It does. There are a lot of openings that the tunnel was, if you just close the tunnel entrance, there are manholes, there are openings that will lead water into, and there are ducts into the tunnel. It happened during Hurricane Sandy. So we're closing all the areas that will lead into the tunnel. There are a lot of openings around that building that if you leave them unprotected, water will get into the tunnel.
Yeah, and we spoke Alice about why the Port Authority didn't do one of those big bank vault doors like the MTA did at their tunnels, right, where they have that closes the tunnels. And the reason is because there is a number of things that are outside of the actual portal that the Port Authority is protecting as well. Like I said, there are ways that the tunnel would be impacted if you don't close, like across vestry and across the areas that you're asking about.
So, but also cost of the factors that are involved, but yeah. I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's true too. But right, I think there's a combination of those. But yeah, probably.
Okay, so I've got some questions. Go ahead.
So this is a question for you. I heard you say that it takes 5 days to set up. Is that correct?
I didn't say 5 days to set up. I talked about shifts, number of
Okay,
shifts.
so there's 23 shifts. How many days is that?
It depending on whoever is the contractor is. I don't know how many shifts, how many days they're gonna use per shift. They can go 2 shifts per day or 1 shift per day, but the actual tunnel is closed just before the hurricane land, just before the landing. We're looking at about 3 to 5 days.
Okay, so
3 to
I
5
hear you,
days.
but I need to understand how many days it will take to put that aqua fence up. Because if you remember, we were all here for Sandy, most of us, but people were still evacuating maybe 24 hours before. We had at most, the mayor didn't declare an emergency until 3 days before. So I'm trying to understand how this is gonna save the tunnel. if it takes 5 days to put up, how many days does it take to put up?
23 shifts.
Right, which is how many days?
Well,
How
it,
many days it's closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter how many days it takes to put it up. What matters is how many days the tunnel is closed.
right.
So how many days did you say the tunnel would be closed? You said just before, but then I thought you said 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, I heard
So-
5 days.
So as soon as the governor or whoever declares state of emergency, that's when we close the tunnel. So it could be 2 days, it could be 3 days or 5, but it depends on. But we're gonna be ready for it. As soon as they say close it, we close the tunnel.
Yeah,
Can
you
I
know,
ask a question?
if we're setting up the aqua fence, right, the way that it was showed in that video, that doesn't necessarily close the actual tunnel. We don't have to add those final pieces until the end, right? So
Yes.
so you could still traverse the tunnel up until the actual second where we put them in front of the portals. But protecting Canal Street and Vestry Street is part of that wouldn't impact the way that public travels through the tunnel.
So what you're saying is you would close down Canal, Vestry, and Hudson. You put up the aqua fences on that space first, while leaving the tunnel open until the last
Yeah.
possible moment. And the aqua fence there is the last resort. And
Yeah,
how many
that's right.
shifts?
Yeah, and okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I get it. And how many shifts per day? Like, I mean, you said it takes 23 shifts. I get that. Okay, each, your staffers are combined into shifts. And does one day encompass 5 shifts, 4 shifts, or 6 shifts?
We don't have a contract in place yet, but remember that we are not actually closing the tunnel until we start right after the announcement. We know hurricane is gonna
So
land.
they're gonna,
It's gonna land
they're gonna,
next.
yeah.
So we know it's gonna land. When the announcement is made, we start preparation. It doesn't affect commuters or anybody until the real landing. So that's why we don't have the actual numbers.
This makes sense.
No, it does. They're gonna close off their infrastructure first, and then the actual entrance to the tunnel will be the last thing they
Right,
close.
because they're gonna let people have ingress and egress.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to let
Yes,
people go through the tunnel until it's the absolute critical point where you would close the tunnel.
How long for the tunnel? Is it a day?
Maybe a day.
Let me just,
Well, that
Okay,
depends
so
on how big
Jeff-
that depends on how big the storm is. All that. That's not something we can.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes,
No.
I think I just want to summarize the point that you're hearing here is that many of us went through evacuation for Sandy. And those of us who did tended to go like the day before it hit.
Yeah.
And so it's important, I think, not only for just us personally, but just for evacuation generally, that you minimize the time that the tunnel is closed before the hit, so that people can
Get
get out if they're ordered to evacuate, since many of us live in the evacuation zone and many others live in the evacuation.
No,
But,
I think that point is that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
would just, I just want to know how many hours it takes for you to set up to block off the tunnel to keep it from flooding. That's all I want to know, because we only had 24 hours, right?
Right.
So if it takes more than 24 hours, maybe the aqua fence isn't going to work because you need more time. Does that
Right.
make
So,
sense?
so when Ike's talking about like 3 to 5 days, all those shifts, that includes the entire length of Canal Street, which doesn't impact traveling through the tunnel, right? It includes, walking all the way around Vestry, but people could still get through the tunnel, right? There's like 4 or 5 panels that actually block the roadway. And so those wouldn't be installed till the very end. To the point of the gentleman who just stated, we would not actually close the tunnel until the absolute last point. People could still go in and out, but this fence is long, right? It goes all the way across all the way down Canal Street. So all of that stuff would be done in advance.
Okay, go ahead, Justin.
Now, just in terms of the length of it, how long along Canal Street is it gonna be? How many blocks on Canal Street?
One block.
Or is it just one block?
Can you go up
Yeah, it's
one side?
Hudson to Varick, so and it hooks around onto Vestry.
So it's like
But just
two,
one block.
2 to 3, 1 block. And in the slide that you had where it went around, it didn't look like the red, it looked like you kind of had a triangle. Yeah, that one. It looked like you kind of have a triangle. What about the other part of the triangle that close it off?
Which
Go
part?
back
I'm
to
sorry.
the-
And not that picture.
Yeah, that's Broome.
So it's on high enough ground that you don't have to worry about it. You've connected to high ground, so you don't need to worry.
There you go, perfect.
Yeah, this one.
That right there. That one is kind of a 12. It's better darker, but that's sort of like a triangle that's not finished. The part
the
that's
Hudson
not,
Street.
I guess it's Best Street and Hudson, that corner there. That's high ground.
Yeah, there's the building there has the walls of the building there's no way water will come from that side. So that's what the study shows. That's a building
We're
that's
talking about the corner of Canal and Hudson. There's a large wall there. That's yeah.
Okay. The building's waterproof, so it's safe. Okay.
Right.
Okay, other questions from the committee?
Christine really didn't get her
I
question.
think he did answer.
See, he did answer it.
I think he did answer.
My,
No,
my
no,
question
he
is,
didn't.
Oh,
he
okay.
did, he said the tunnel will be the last thing.
She was getting at a different point.
What was the
Her
point?
point was, how long does it take to put it up? Because we didn't get much notice prior, when Sandy occurred, it was only, you said 24 hours notice. Is there sufficient time to put up the aquafence, given that length of time of notice? And if it isn't, then the aquafence may not be the solution. That was her question.
Right, but what he said is he
You answered
only
that,
has to
Chris,
be
as to
on
how, and how.
I understand that. Is there enough time to put that up so that is the right solution? If the
Okay,
notice
questions
is.
been asked, let's give it answered.
I'd like to, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see like how long exactly it takes to block the physical tunnel where we would say now you can no longer traverse through the Holland Tunnel. I'll get exactly how long that takes. But the point is all of these things that happen before the actual tunnel is closed is what Ike was talking about, those multiple shifts. But I'll get back to you with an exact number. And I think, the point is very well taken that we need time. We need the maximum amount of time available to either exit the city if needed. And we need to make sure we're not closing the tunnel until we absolutely have to. And so we will absolutely take that point away from this. And the other point we'll take away for sure is that we need some more specification on the cobblestones, the anchors in the cobblestones, and some more information about exactly where we believe the water is going to move to. And we're happy to come back to the committee and the board on that.
Excuse me,
Thanks.
since no one's answering, no one's calling on me.
Yeah.
Could I also, we need information about how long those sidewalks are going to be shut off? Because I'm
Yeah.
amazed how many people are only focused on the Holland Tunnel from us. I mean, it's your job to focus on the Holland Tunnel.
Yeah.
The reality is we have to live in the neighborhood. We have to be able to evacuate or not, and many people will not evacuate. And most people don't own cars, so they're not going to take the Holland Tunnel. So, but they're still going to worry about, can they get down the street? Can they get in and out of their buildings? Can they get their cars if they're in a parked space? So we need to know some of those issues for the actual buildings and openings that are behind the fence.
Okay. Yeah. Well, right now on this part of Canal Street, there is no buildings that it would block. But I will see how long or how long we would plan to close that southern part of Canal Street, which is for pedestrian access. I imagine it would be just, the days where we were actually putting it out. And then obviously when the event happens, whatever it takes to clear them out would be the only time.
Which sounds like it
That's
could be
one
10 to 12 days.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when we didn't have any protection for the tunnel, the entire tunnel was closed for 10 days and no one can get in or out of the tunnel for 10 full days. So in a major event, yeah, we don't know.
Thanks so much. The Norwegian company that makes these, I looked it up, and they've been very successful. And certainly I heard about them first when they protected the university or the Tampa General Hospital, which is where I went to high school way back when. So I know how successful the fence is. There's proof of concept there. Those were 9 feet high and they protected and the whole place got flooded. But I'm curious in terms of, do they help you find the contractor that installs them, or is that a different Obviously, they've also sold a lot of these to private businesses in New York City. How do you figure out who's the installer here? And is there any expertise that you can pass along to our other city agencies and our state government? Because one of the things that I just really feel like everybody's solving their own problem piecemeal and in a vacuum. And I'm always interested in educating, and especially I think this is good news. And I think it's really impressive that engineers are doing this. I mean, this is, I think for the product, it's one of the best products on the market. And I'd love to hear more about how you're, bragging about your success and how it's working. Obviously we're going to work through the problems, but, New York City is one city, but, all the cities up and down the East Coast, if there's a hurricane, will be hit with the same problem. And so everyone will want to purchase these things. And then everyone will want the contractors, the best contractors. And, how do you get that? How do you find out your contractors and, where do they come from? Are they all being flown up from Texas, which is what we usually hear? Thank you.
Sure.
I do have like a.
Okay, I'm gonna start to close down this conversation because we're at the 2-minute mark
Yeah.
before 7. So if you want to give a brief answer as to, I think it would be very helpful to know, because Betty Kay had mentioned that you have aqua fences in New York. I thought there was a few in the financial district. Where
Yeah.
else where are they? Well, I guess would be an answer a little bit to what you're talking about. And then to respond to her question about who was deploying them.
Ike, can you talk about the contractors that we use or about to?
Yes, we met with Aquafence and they gave us some list of contractors. We also got them to train, and we'll be training our own staff because sometimes during emergency, some of the contractors may not be so much available. They may be short-staffed. So we want our reliability to be kind of high. If they don't come on, we have people on board to deploy. So we have a list of contractors that we'll be reaching out to as soon as we get a revocable consent.
Betty, your hand is still up, and do you have another question? Betty, I see your, okay. Tammy, right.
So I wanted to know because two things. One, do you need to have LPC approval to be drilling in the cobblestones in the historic district? And if so, have you sought that yet?
We reached out to OTC. Yeah, we reached out to them. They are part of those that we need concurrence from on these cobbles. They've already given us their concurrence.
Landmarks Preservation Commission?
Landmarks Preservation Commission gave you approval?
Not Landmark. Oh, I thought you talked about OCMC. Okay, no, not Landmark yet.
Tammy, can I
Okay.
just say that the DOT said that because they are an agency, they are exempt from LPC authorization.
I didn't understand that response, Betty. I know you shared that with us. Does that make sense to you? That's happened before. That was somewhat opaque.
Okay.
Maybe you can answer that to the team of Port Authority. Is that correct, that you do not have to go through landmarks because you're?
I don't believe so. The DOT did not require that of us, so I don't believe we had to do that.
So
We had to
Can
speak
you-
with the EOB, the FDNY, and the DOT, and that was the list.
can you please get back to us with the flood modeling? Because one of the things, listen, we're happy that the tunnel will be protected. That is long and short of it. But there are major concerns that the aquafence will have the effect of flooding areas in northern Tribeca that have no protection by redirection of the water. And that is something that you might not care necessarily because you're trying to protect your asset, but we're trying to protect a whole neighborhood. So if
Well, we definitely
the
care. I mean, we definitely care, and we I'm happy. We will absolutely get that information for you. And we think that protecting the tunnel and making sure that it is accessible to everybody in the neighborhood, not just in Tribeca, but in New Jersey, everywhere, is very important. But we understand that we don't live in a vacuum and that we need to be conscious of where the water is going to go. So we will get that information for you loud and clear. I heard the message.
That's great. Last, I think you got is Sarah.
Yeah, you had mentioned that there were, or someone had mentioned that there were fences that your company had put up in New York. They're here now in FIDOT. Where exactly are they?
So Aquafence in New York, I think there
Want me to
are.
answer that?
Yeah, go ahead, Betty, because you seem to know.
The resolution that I remember doing was 125 Maiden Lane. It is a commercial condo that is a block. And it had to go around all 4 streets around it. And they use their own team of people to do installation.
Okay.
And store it in-house, in the building.
And that was the only one.
That's the only one that I recall my committee doing, but since the little caps that go on top of where they drill the screws are about the size of a nickel, I had multiple people on committee talk about other places in FIDOT where they've seen them and they just didn't know what they were for.
So if you could, while you're going back to do all of this, your review of additional information you'll give us, because just to add that, just to, if there's anything in addition to the Maiden Lane property, I do remember that one, Betty, as well, or intended ones, that would be helpful, just so people know. So we will wait for your review and getting back to us. I thank you. We all thank you very much for your time. I thought that was a helpful presentation. And now we're going to turn it over to the committee to just quickly consider a resolution. We said a possible resolution. It sounds like certainly we're going to try to tie this together with Betty and transportation in the interest of time, but maybe, I guess so, but we sort of go back.
So you have to, because we're under a timeline.
Yeah, what is the timeline here, Chris? When's the deadline of our response? Do you have the date?
I don't know the deadline. I mean, as soon as possible. We're looking to, I think it's September. We were looking to.
Oh,
but that's for you. What about the DOT revocable consent? Because that has a clock on it.
We typically have 45 days for that when we get notifications directly from the DOT.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're deep into that 45 days.
So if you should get us the information, I guess we could, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this for full board on, okay.
We should, I mean, people have raised their concerns, whether or not the information that they bring alleviates those concerns can be discussed at the full board. But the resolution that we do to support it should have all the pros and the concerns and everything else and move ourselves ahead.
So it sounds like we are, exactly as Tammy stated, it reviewing the different concerns that we all had and what the project is, and we're resolved to what?
Support the
To support the
Support
revocable
it.
consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want them to protect the homeowners.
information from them?
Well-
Obviously, there's engineering that, they're gonna have to figure out.
So I think that it sounds, if I'm hearing right, if the information confirms that things are going right in terms of how the flooding is affected, how the landmark areas are affected, and that somehow there's an answer that is satisfactory to the board, then that would be yes to the revocable consent.
And it's gonna take how long to make this happen?
No, well, I think that's just the first step, because they want.
Yeah,
I was just-
no, but we have to answer them quickly because of the 45 days. That's our problem. That's the time frame, not them
But
building
It's
it.
gonna take them 2 years to build this,
Possible.
9 years to build
Well,
this.
but
Now,
once
there's
they,
one more question for you. How long is the forecasted timeline for this project?
I mean, this
Assuming money is
project,
so-
the anchors are 95% installed. We just have a small amount that is on New York City property that we're waiting. This is why we're getting revocable consent. There's only 5% of the anchors that need to be installed. So it's almost done. It's just, we need permission from the city of New York to do the final anchors. And you'll see all of them.
So I think we've well established, we've all heard what the concerns are. They're identified, that definitely be in our resolution. And it sounds like it would be in support, assuming that all those questions are answered.
Call the
Am I
question.
right?
Yeah, I think so, and
Yeah.
second it, yeah, no, I
Okay.
think so.
So. all in favor?
And, yeah, I would be in favor, I would just ask too that we put in there that, they come back to us and keep talking as they go through because of our concerns.
Are you interested in a return visit there?
Well,
I,
and-
I
Absolutely.
think we just need,
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
with the deployment plan.
with the
yeah,
deployment plan.
deployment plan, sidewalk access, and
Yeah.
ensure that our neighbors aren't gonna get flooded where they would not normally be because the water's been diverted into them.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly, great. All righty, so anybody is not in support of this resolution? Any abstentions? So I guess that we're,
And no refusals.
okay, thank you. For that part. Okay, so we're set. to go.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to
Good night.
Team
Yeah.
Port Authority.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much. And I just want to make sure, you guys are confident that, we we don't want you to think that, we're trying to cause an issue in your neighborhood with a fence. We're trying to just protect the asset, and we understand, like I said, we don't live in a vacuum, and that we have to be confident that people are protected, and, our asset is protected at the same time. But protecting the Holland Tunnel, in our opinion, is about making sure that the people have access in and out of the city at all times. And that's the crux of what we're trying to do here. And we thank you for, bringing up great points, and we're going to get back to you with as much information as possible. So you guys are very smart, very good board, and we appreciate that, all the insight too. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much all.
Glad
Thank
we
you.
always-
All right.
Bye, guys.
On to number 2. Bye-bye, thank you. So thank you to the Vidi Seaport Master Plan contingent and the Battery Post Resilience. We weren't expecting this, but that's what you get. I hope it was edifying to all of you. Okay, so delighted to see Diana and team. So
Mhm.
Diana, this is the connection to the Vidi Seaport Master Plan Resiliency Project, an update, and I assume you're providing this, is that correct?
Alexa.
Oh, I didn't.
Take this.
Okay.
Both of us, very happy to be
Here,
here.
Deep Bench from EDC here.
Oh,
All the way
yes,
down
you
the
did,
line.
yes.
We're here, EDC and our project teams are here, and Parks, here for 2 projects tonight, Vidi Seaport and the Battery. So we'll start with Vidi Seaport.
Right, and reintroduce who you are and your team, just
Yeah.
everybody here, so thank you. Great, well,
Good evening. I'm Alexis Taylor. I'm a Vice President of Climate Resilience with NYC Economic Development Corporation. I'm also the project director for the Vidi Seaport Climate Resilience Plan. And I'm joined tonight by a few people. I want to make sure that they also are presenters. A member of our consultant team, Emily Gordon, will be co-presenting with me. She is from MNLA and State Architects. We also have Sarah Nielsen
Mhm.
from New York City Parks on the line, and Rachel Aronson, who is also a vice president in our planning group focused on waterfronts
With EDC.
with EDC. Yes. If you go ahead to the next slide, just want to cover I can do that. Wow, that's why you handed this to me. Okay, so topics that we're going to cover tonight. Always want to speak about this project in the larger context of LMCR. That's usually Jordan's job, but he couldn't be here tonight, so I will provide that brief overview. We have some exciting funding updates. And then I will hand it over to Emily, who will speak about one past and one upcoming engagement. Both of these are related to the battery tie-in and feedback from our Climate Coalition and CB1 that we should have even more public touch points. And so we're very pleased that we were able to fit those in this summer. And then I'm going to give a small preview of an upcoming fall campaign, which we haven't fully announced publicly yet, but you will be hearing about it or seeing ads for it in the next month. So I want to just give you a preview of that. Within the context of the Lower Manhattan Coastal Resilience portfolio of projects, Again, all of these are in advanced stages of design and construction, with the exception of that 0.9 miles along the financial district and Seaport District, where there is little on-land availability, and therefore we have a larger multi-year, all of these are multi-year, but this is multi-year, project to extend the line of coastal flood defense into the water. What this means is that we will have a fully completed Lower Manhattan line of defense. Again, we do need to complete this last compartment. Each of these have independent utility and benefit that they bring in terms of reducing and mitigating the floodplain. In order to have a fully dry Lower Manhattan, we do need to complete all of these compartments. And I know we always speak of this in the context of these primarily being coastal flood defense, but I think it's really important also to acknowledge the benefits that are coming with this. And in particular, the addition of green, open space, publicly accessible, which means that you can walk when this project is complete, you will be able to walk all the way from North Moore to the Brooklyn Bridge, entirely in dedicated public open space with very few pedestrian conflicts with cars, almost none. And having that green corridor and additional open space available to everyone has really always been a core tenet of these projects. And this is a new graphic that MNLA produced to remind everyone what this is bringing for Lower Manhattan. First. All right, so funding updates. Since we last met, New York City has an adopted budget. And in that budget is expense funding for fiscal years 26 and 27 that will allow our project to not be paused, but to go directly into environmental review. We believe with this funds, although it's slightly less than what we initially asked for, we believe that we will be able to commence and complete environmental review by the end of December 27. And this really keeps us on track to unlock significant federal funding, which was always a major goal of being able to get this funding for environmental review. I want to thank everyone in this room because unless you think it doesn't matter, the resolutions that you passed were hugely influential. They were sent with all of our packages that we sent to OMB. We sent the resolutions as well. Every conversation that you had, every phone call, every side, just dropping a hint that we needed this funding really, really made a difference. And so I'm incredibly grateful for the sustained community support from you all. And I know that's what it really takes in order to get these projects done. And so I'm sure it's not the last time that we will need to find more funding. But honestly, having a broad base of support is really what made the difference here. And that was the feedback that we got as well. So thank you all.
Alexis, thank you. That's kind. Can you just dive in there a little bit as to exactly where that money is going?
Yeah.
How much it is? I think
Yeah.
that's always a bit of a
Absolutely.
gray. Yeah, thanks.
Yes. So we were previously funded through the end of 2025, the end of this year. And that funding, basically, which was previous, we had gotten that 3 years ago, but that funding in fiscal year 25 was to get us to 30% schematic design for the entire master plan. Then where you see that green line, which was previously a red line, it means that we are now green lighted in fiscal year 26 to move ahead with our environmental review phase. So this is the NEPA compliant environmental impact statement. It means we will have many more public moments where we are scoping that, where we are getting public input on the draft EIS, where we're getting public input on the final EIS impacts and mitigation. The amount that we were given in fiscal year 26 is an additional $3 million, and the amount in fiscal year 27 is 4.5 million. We are hopeful that because we have efficiencies and not having to pause the work, that amount will get us completely through environmental review. And this was in your resolution, just as context, we previously asked for 15 million, so it is about half the amount that we asked for. But again, because we are not pausing, we feel pretty confident that we will be able to get through environmental review. As soon as I know otherwise, I of course will let this group know, because we have to figure out exactly kind of what the cost will be. But we had pretty good estimates of where we had cost efficiencies.
So I'm gonna ask, one of the concerns that I have is community spoke for decades about the Brooklyn Bridge Beach.
Yeah.
And access to the beach. That's not at all what the FIDI Seaport Master Plan shows. Community had talked about retaining 15 as being really important public space.
Yeah.
We had dubious thoughts about a 19,
Yeah.
especially after what happened with the tall ships.
Yeah.
Which is everything else. My real concerns, once you hit 30% and you go for environmental review, that there'll be no changes to any of that going forward, that the engineering will be done and we will be told, as we have been told before,
Yeah.
sorry, there's no changes. And
Yeah.
that's not gonna necessarily work for what we're looking to do.
Yeah.
We're not looking to mitigate, stop resiliency. We are looking for public realm, public space. Everything has been commercialized. There is no plans to have major public open space. And every time we have asked, we were told, well, if you want open active space, there can be buildings. No, we want symmetry with what the west side of Manhattan has. Right? We've asked about some things that we want to understand, because there were piers that have been here before that have come down that were commercial piers, other things like that. And my fear is, as you're heading into phase 7, is that there will be no changes because you're at 30% preliminary and you're going for environmental, and it will be very much of what we've experienced before. Yes, we know, we've heard you, but this is the plan we're going with, and this is what's happening. So hop in the boat because that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's not really gonna work.
Yeah. So this is not, the 30% design is not the end of getting this feedback or making changes to the overall plan. There is built into our next phases, various analyses that are not, it's not already decided that we will just go ahead with, let's say, a Pier 19 and not a Pier 15. There will actually be alternatives that are put forward that we can carry through to environmental review. And we can analyze the impacts of, sorry, my mom doesn't understand I'm in a meeting, so she can spot me.
I relate to that.
So it is absolutely not the end of design. We have a lot farther to go with design. There are options that we can carry forward. There also is, as part of, as you know, there's kind of the formal environmental review where you get to actually publicly submit every comment, dissatisfaction, but also, I think outside of that, we will do above and beyond what is required of the environmental review phases, because the idea has always been that this is a community-based vision, and so it does need to reflect, if there are things in this current design that need to be reevaluated and picked up in the next stage, we have the opportunity to do that. We can also add in more piers and do kind of a maximum extent in terms of impacts, because one of the reasons you may recall, we did have a Pier 15 previously, And in order to control for the costs of building additional two-level piers, we did remove that from our optimized plan. But there's nothing saying that we couldn't put it back in. Obviously, we then will need to identify more funding for it. But I think that that's something that working with the community, we're very capable of doing. We understand that like, it's not about the bottom line costs of the flood control. It's about the public waterfront and the experience and what we're building for the next generation. And so I think that if we need to identify additional funds that aren't part of the optimized plan, then that's something we can include in the next phase.
I think it's critical.
Yeah.
It's absolutely critical because otherwise we have a commercialized waterfront and we have no public space. And yet we're adding housing and housing and housing. Biggest pushes for housing, we're
The demands on our public space.
Great. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a lovely presentation by our urban fellow about the population growth and the lack of open space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that goes hand in hand to, yes, more piers, yes, more public space. Yes, electrification, which also was not baked into the plans for the ferries.
Hang on, Tammy, before
But
we, yeah.
before we get to environmental review, I think my concern is looking at the changes that happened on the west side of Manhattan after the environmental reviews were done was more about picking out the drapes and the paint. Substantial changes we were told could not be done because the engineering and environmental were done. And that is what I bring forward to the east side. So that is my concern with where we are.
We are not done with design. And we are definitely not done with public input on design. I can reassure you on that.
It's an important point. Thanks, Tammy. So should we let you
Yeah.
guys do your whole presentation and then maybe we dive into the.
Yeah, so I am gonna pass it off here to Emily and from MNLA. And Emily, I have control of the slides, so you can just tell me next slide.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alexis. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just going to give a quick update on some of the outreach that we've been doing lately related to the battery segment of this project. Next. So we are right in this moment. We're really excited about having completed a number of workshops with all of you, as well as other members of the CCLM coalition, what we call our battery focus group. We've done a number of outreach events with you all in the spring. We've also just concluded a series of public tabling events out in the battery, and we are really excited to be at this moment where we are hosting our first truly public workshop, which will take place tomorrow night, and we'll share some more details about that in a couple slides. Next. So I'm going to give a little overview of some of the things we heard while tabling in the battery. Next. We did a number of different days out in the battery. These took place throughout the month of May at various days of the week and times of day. We tried to pick kind of a wide selection of times to be out there to try to get a mix of the different types of people who use the park at different types of days. And we set up our tables right near the carousel between the playscape and the carousel. And the goals of this was really, number one, to increase awareness about the overall project as a whole with the general public to try to reach a new audience. To try to increase awareness of how the 3 resiliency projects that are currently underway come together around the battery specifically, to gather input from this broader public audience on what types of features and uses are most important to them in the battery today. And then lastly, we are really hoping to get out the word and the invite to a broader audience to invite people to engage in our public workshops and other upcoming events that we have. And it was successful. We talked to so many interesting people. We got a number of signups on our mailing list, people who are interested in coming to future events and hearing future updates. And we also got a fair amount of engagement and input on some of our interactive components. So next, I'll go through just some of the highlights of what we heard back from speaking with folks. We had a board up that asked people what they most like to do in the Battery, what parts of the Battery they use the most. Some of the most popular activities are, of course, being there to enjoy the harbor views, accessing the harbor and the Statue of Liberty cruises. We talked to, of course, a lot of tourists. We also talked to tons of locals, number of families playing in the playscape, a lot of love expressed for the gardens, the quality of the gardens, being able to stroll through them, bird watching, riding the carousel, using the lawns, learning about history. And then some other common themes that we got sort of a lot of write-in about was a lot of enthusiasm for expanding the garden program, interest in habitat, biodiversity, pollinators, things like that. We talked to a lot of people who were there to visit the Statue of Liberty and weren't necessarily familiar with our project, but were really interested in it. We spoke to several individuals who work in the Battery day to day, so we were able to get their unique perspective from people who really know the space really well. And one of the other really interesting groups of people we reached was a lot of young people, people who are sort of high school age or college students who are interested in studying environmental science and related fields, and some other academics and professors as well who are really interested in these topics. And it was really great to make contact with that audience as well. Next. And then we had our table map out. This is the same table map we've had out at other workshops where we allowed people to leave comments on the map itself. Some of the highlights from that were really similar: enthusiasm for the playscape, the gardens, some of the most well-loved pieces. That's okay. You can skip ahead. We don't need to spend too much time. Yeah. And we were also able to get out the word about our upcoming event, which is happening tomorrow night. So this is the first truly public workshop where we are opening this up to anyone in the community who wants to attend. We've had a lot of help from local organizations getting the word out as well. So we have a pretty strong RSVP count. We are really excited. We really encourage all of you to attend. Your feedback so far has been so valuable to our team, and we really hope to keep the conversation going. So it will be taking place tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Francis Tavern Hall of Flags.
And thank you to our friends at the Francis Tavern Museum. Also, the Waterfront Alliance sent out an announcement about this, which gave us a big boost, and so did Gotham has posted it on their Instagram. So, very happy for that cross promotion. All right.
We don't Insta, we Facebook and
I-
Twitter, sorry.
We welcome all forms of social media. So following the public workshop tomorrow night, I just wanted to give you all a little bit of a preview of what is coming up. So this fall, we're very excited to be doing a public open house. We have worked with the South Street Seaport Museum and actually will be doing a pop-up exhibit on Fulton Street, right next to the museum entrance and what is now a kind of small storefront that also has exhibit space. What this allows us to do is have a full 2 weeks where we'll have the exhibit up surrounding New York City Climate Week. So instead of having kind of a single event, we actually will be able to, we'll have it staffed all throughout the day. Our plan is also then to have special events where we will either kind of do a kind of closed walkthrough with elementary school kids or high school students, give them their own tour of the museum and allow them the exhibit and allow them to ask questions of us. We also plan on having a few scheduled panels during Climate Week in order to get additional foot traffic there. But the idea is it will be kind of a ground floor storefront presence. And so people who are not maybe even coming there specifically for that purpose will be able to just walk in and learn more about the FiDi Seaport project. Also coming up, actually, as soon as August, you will see ads and on NYC Ferry. We will be promoting the project overall. And also have some pretty great video ads, digital displays that will be on NYC Ferry, advertisement screens. And I think that is the first place where we're starting to advertise in August, but we're also looking at a few other opportunities to advertise in Lower Manhattan within the project area. And with that, I don't know if you want to hold questions now or you want to go straight into the battery. I'll be staying. And so really up to you if you want to keep going through the presentation.
I think maybe we can do both presentations unless we have some real, I think they're very related, right?
I think we can go right into
Yeah,
it.
okay, let's.
I am Steve Nelson.
Oh, this is, you should need to switch over actually to there.
That's a different PDF.
Oh, can you bring up the next? The,
Do you have more slides?
I had some appendix slides in case they came up during questions. I have a slide that kind of shows the battery project with our project. So
Do you-
I think
Just
we love
speak to that.
We always like the visuals, so should we, you want to do those now or after Diana's?
I think after, because it's more, it speaks to the,
Yeah.
if you had questions about the location
Yeah, I
of the
think
various
after makes
projects.
sense.
You know, very amendment oriented over here. Okay,
Hi, good evening. I'm Steve Nelson, Assistant Vice President, of Capital, Manager, quickly Officer Battery Project, and joined by Kevin Chan, as President. Ryan from Hunter Roberts and Ethan Smith from Hunter Roberts, and we're here to talk about some updates on the Battery Crystal Resiliency Project. Review that everyone has seen multiple times. Some photos, but we're here tonight to talk about schedule in our construction timeline due to the NPS 10 relocation and how that is affecting our project overall. That will move you to.
You actually say the acronym, like your,
Oh, National NPS National Park Service,
yeah.
and then LMCR.
All right, it's a quick update on where we are in terms of our construction. So right now, ongoing phase one, we've completed all of the structural precast minus our fascia panels. We have about 80% of the topping slab poured for the structure itself. And we're moving ahead with planned hardscape finishes, reinstalling all of the salvage stonework that we've shown throughout the different presentations here. Soils, plantings ongoing, really just trying to tie up our phase one parts since they're trying to get started on there. So right now, this slide, a little bit updated from what we've been showing, but this is where we stand as of today, with our phase one construction. I mean, we said based on where National Park Service is, kind of looking like we're gonna be wrapping up our work in that pink area in the October timeframe. At the same time, we're working with National Park Service to get their contractors in here early to kind of expedite some of their construction. Some of the foundation work starting in that couple of weeks, so they're not ripping up stuff, but they get installed. So probably time to arrive. So this next slide is really just showing what the timeframes, what the park's gonna look like, October of this year to February of next year. while National Park Service is doing their construction. They're still gonna be operating in the same area they're currently operating now, in front of the new restaurant, inside the park. They will be working inside of our construction site, and then with some of the other projects, so it's going on with the battery. That's still being up until, I think.
Let's not hide the ball and just kind of roll it on out, because the Battery Gardens is supposed to close at the end of July because everything was supposed to move, right? And parks can speak for themselves if they've figured out a way to have that building be alive and enlivened. But if the work's not being done, what is going to be happening in the next 3 months, 6 months? Because there's a gap from the last slide and this slide.
Yeah,
Let's
just
not
to be
hide it.
clear, because I don't know if everybody here understands that the tent that they ordered for the Statue of Liberty is delayed by many, many months, and it's nobody's fault. It's being manufactured in Europe someplace, and it's already been paid for, so there's no tariff issues or something like that, but that is delayed. There's nothing that can be done. They have to wait till the tent shows up. And I was gonna say, but I think to Tammy's point is that, because that's been delayed, you know, maybe we can have some other things that we want to get to, but let's go. I just don't know if that was clear to everybody. Did you guys understand? Like,
No.
Why don't you
Yeah.
let the team here clarify the points that you raised to your part committee about timing and next steps? And also, if you could speak a little louder, because I think it's hard to.
I can take the pass.
You can come straight to the table as well. Come sit at the table. and
I
say
didn't realize how many people were not up yet as attendees for now on the panel. So if any of your team wants to add to this, they're all available to speak.
Sure. Let's go back to the previous slide, maybe, Patrick. Is this the first one?
Oh, yeah, the first one.
Yeah,
If you could
So-
explain the color coding.
sure. The pink is where we are currently. It's phase one, where the end of the pink is where the crosshatches, that's where we are all the way to pure A, where the purple is. The purple is BPCA Southern Project. That's where they are currently. They're anticipated to be done by the end of December. Within the oval, you see the oval, there are some fencing that's put up for us as we salvage our materials and put them back in phase one and put them back in phase two. There's also some trailers and containers in that oval. So that's going to continue to be there while we do phase two. The brown is where the National Park Service need to construct their tent. They have fencing, they have to get into the pink area so they can bring the tent in. They have some foundation work. We also have some work to do to bring in their new mechanical equipment and electrical equipment. So currently, they were targeted to be done at or around the same time we were, so that the tent would move over and then we can start moving into phase two. Unfortunately, National Park Service had a snafu with getting their contract approved by the current administration. They had it going, and then somehow the contract got stopped, and so with a lot of pushing and prodding, they were able to get it approved. So they are there right now doing shop drawings. They have the tent in fabrication, we've been told, in Germany, and it's going to be sent over here to the United States and to this location, hopefully in the next few months. And when it gets here, hopefully the foundations will be done, and they can start setting their tent. And once the tent is set up with the new equipment they have new mechanical equipment to provide, you know, the heating, air conditioning into the tent, as well as some new electrical power. So all that is happening by National Park Service. So currently, until that operation is completed, they will stay at the tent temporary tent that's by the view. So once they are able to move that tent from the view over back to Castle Clinton, then they can take down that tent, and then we can go back into phase two. So they're they're actually occupying both areas because they just can't move the tent. So it's continuous operations. They don't want to not have a ferry go over to.
What's the area with the lines in it? Pink and black or white or gray? with
Oh,
lines?
the one on the brown side, on the white, on the
Well,
right?
there's lines, right? So that's right?
Yes. So, the one on the right, the brown. with the-
Yes, then they are not
phase-
now.
That's phase two, that's.
Oh, that's
where
phase two.
Complete,
Ah,
right.
okay.
People- That's where they currently, right.
Right.
Doing that line.
Liberty Ferry.
And you can't do it until.
Correct.
Because. What about the pink?
The pink, is us right now. We are in the
Pink
pink.
stripes too?
The pink stripes is us too, because that's where we have our storage containers and where our offices are for the contractors.
Got
and
Thank you.
our-
What's the blue?
The blue is Department of Transportation. They also have some resiliency work to fortify some of their openings into the tunnel. And so, their contract, they tell us that it's been executed and they're trying to gear up to do their work. So we're in communication with DOT. We just need to get more specific schedules from them, which they're working on, and we don't have yet. There are 4 locations. We're trying to understand which location they'll do their work first. We've been told it's minimal. They're not gonna be shutting down the park, the whole park, but it's just areas around events.
So can we,
So going to slide 2, slide 2 is telling us now that we are done with the pink. And National Park Service still needs to get the brown, to move the tent over. And once they're operational by Castle Clinton again, then we can go in. They have to take down the tent by the view, and then we can jump in and start working. And you'll build it. Yes, exactly.
Got it.
So the brown is a
Understand.
much, much smaller portion of the overall project for us.
Understand.
but
Yeah.
we understand that that is definitely not happening before February of 26.
Correct. They have told us their schedule is, by the time the tent comes, they need time to actually erect and put up the tent and also move their operations over. The moving over shouldn't take too long, they tell us. but
March,
it's
maybe?
They said February, and that's what we're hoping to get back in there by February.
And will everything be at a standstill then until that happens?
We will be done with the pink by October of this year. We have some photos, maybe we could walk you some of the photos. in
Yeah,
terms of
let's
progress.
hold up on the
Then-
questions.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's continue with some of the slides.
Patrick, just speak up while they come to the table. Yeah.
Swap.
You swap.
I'll swap. All right, yeah, then this next slide is, as Kathleen was saying, once the tent, the new west tent is built by National Park Service, we'll transition over to phase 2 and start all, basically, our second phase, which is a lot of the same construction, then also building the bridging structure over the TBTA tunnel. Slide. Got some progress photos. So this is a photo of the newly completed slips. So you can see on the left, we've got the ramps that you'll be able to access from the park level down to the first boarding elevation. And then the ramp down to the lower slip, which is at the current elevation that the wharf's at right now, allowing for that flexibility in boarding. You can see on the front of the wharf there, some of the fender systems starting. We have that fender system starting, or the pile starting to go in a week and a half. They'll start seeing what that coming to completion. On the right side here is the old fascia that we salvaged off of the waterfront of the existing wharf. That's been processed and resized, and now it's being mounted on the base of the slip elevations. And then there's the next photos. So this is the current view of the waterfront. So this is all new granite that's clad on precast that comes up from Virginia to kind of mimic the aesthetic of the original waterfront down at the Battery. So this is just a shot from earlier last week of the status of the structure. So this is at our east or western limit of the project. Our final beams were placed. We're getting ready to pour our tie-in to the Pier A Plaza, so then we can start merging the finishes between our project and South Battery Park Resiliency Project. And then on the left here is just a photo of the last stretch of topping slab we have to pour to finish off the structure on our way to the Pier A. So good. I'm gonna turn this over to Ethan. Sorry, start branding it.
I want to be a workstation too, but. Well, it's. The fact that I've been talking about it. We have workstations with my child since seven, so. Sorry about that. So over here on the left, as you remember, I used to walk down the stairs in the Gardens of Remembrance. Now since we're elevating the wharf, we actually were able to take all those treads up and now we're installing it, so you're actually walking up. It's actually remarkable kind of being at the base of it. It's really not as drastic kind of a elevation increase as kind of we all thought originally going into it. It's very modest. Really cool thing about this is that we were able to salvage and maintain the treads that had the bronze lettering embossed inside of it for the gardens, and that's all getting completely restored, refinished in situ. So it's really kind of remarkable seeing this all kind of all the hardscape really come together. On the right-hand side, I know I've shown the granite back bench wall quite a few times, but this is actually showing the test pits and brackets. We're getting all this put in with the brick-lane teak that came off, or brick-lane choppable hardwood that came off of those same bench brackets for the granite back bench wall. So all that's going in now. It's fully finished. It's starting to look really, really nice.
I love the benches coming back.
Yes. And it's all come back with the exact, those brackets, the exact same ones that are there to begin with. So everything was fully taken off,
That's wonderful.
blasted down, refinished,
Really appreciate you're not putting cement in, just saying.
as am I. Don't worry. But same thing, all the wood is 100% reclaimed, all from the original seating, so.
Thoughtful. Yeah.
And the garden's starting to take shape again. So the gardens now, which you see on the left-hand side, these are all permeable paving units. It's honestly, we had that very large rainstorm last week, I want to say it was this past weekend, and it was dry. It was remarkable. So it's all infiltrating. We have sub-drainage that goes out to hydrodynamic separators to filter out anything that might come in as contaminant. But those permeable paving units, we actually installed the first mock at the end of last week, and now we're running full steam ahead across the garden. So we are still maintaining all the cobble curbs, all been salvaged. Same thing on the left-hand side is the granite back bench walls. And on the right is new coping stone, just because that new elevation. But that coping stone actually mimics the exact same bull nose as the granite back benches, which once escapes the water. So it's really working with Stantec on this one, look beautiful and really cool design, kind of cohesion of what was already there. And this is looking up the other way. So as you know, the old wharf, I think, had 3 ramps total. I think we have 13 or 14. Don't hold me on that, but this is actually looking at the gardens. So there's 2 that flank either side, on the east side of the East West Memorial, or west side of the East West Memorial, and there will be another gardens with 2 other ramps on further down towards Pier A. And there's another ramp just in the phase 1 area alone over by the East West Memorial. And this, that granite coping curb I was talking about, that has the same bull nose as that granite back bench wall, so same radii. It's at the exact same elevation as the falls.
Frequently done. Yeah.
The salvaging has definitely been, I mean, done small scale before, but this has been really great to kind of see it all come off, especially the upper work fascia. Like now that that's all going in full steam, it's remarkable seeing what can be done.
What's the better Park City Authority about how wonderful folks and how you did it?
Very tedious, a lot of planting.
Yeah.
And now planting, so we have the both horns around Castle Clinton fully planted right now, herbaceous trees, herbaceous plantings, trees, grasses are all in. As beds are opening up, we're getting soil in, holding off as we can for the next planting period, but it's starting to really come together. I personally think it's really. Yeah. And this is, I think we're trying to figure this in the past, but this is the C-rail. Same thing as far as the wood is fully reclaimed from the former C-rail. We had a loss of about a couple feet overall. working with some really great vendors that are able to bring us back from the dead. And it used to be kind of old, grayed out, chewed up poles from anglers. We were able to get that all just refinished, filled in as much as we could, and really maintain that natural look. So it looks great. There's all new salt resistant coating, cement coating that is on these new rails. So this will still line the base of the banner. On the left is just some of the bench refinishing. So those are the benches that have been reinstalled. Same thing, those World's Fair benches all were existing, fully reprocessed, reclaimed on tropical hardwood. On the right, I'm not sure if I ever showed a photo of this, but so since we're using the old scroll piers throughout the entire project, and they used to all have light poles on them. Not all of them do anymore, but there's a lot of lighting has been. I'm going through all the ringers, but for any pier that does not have a light pole on it that formerly did, it's getting a bronze cap. So this bronze cap will sit over where those old anchor bolts were, where the old penetrations were.
Okay.
So it's it's homogeneous look to be able to like still reuse an old pier and not have kind of just a big hollow hole sticking on the top of it. And river that flows two ways, so all the art panels were completely redone. They were taken out of their frames, brought down to bare steel, recoated, and all the bronze strips for the rivers were either restored or the ones that were missing were completely redone. So those will be installed on that sea rail.
Thank you.
Kind of slide like this in almost every single one, but as far as we are an Envision Platinum Verified program, we've seen a lot of success with marginal materials over to the job site. This number is actually deflated because this doesn't account for the precast that we brought up, Virginia. So it's kind of remarkable seeing that we're hitting our target, if not exceeding it at this point. And these are some aerials over the time. I wish we had a more recent one, but I think we only have the one from May, but March. Into June, we're doing that demo of the wharf structure itself. September, with the wharf fully gone, sheet piles in, piles starting to go in. If you see on the upland where the blue tarps are, that's soil that's about to be exported out by that E-crane. So that E-crane was what I think I was missing this in the last slide, in the last deck. But the E-crane, it moves a significant amount of material in a very, very quick time frame. We had it offload soil, basically, it was like, says 5,000 to 6,000 tons. Have that offloaded in about a day and a quarter, and then the next 3/4 of the day following, and I think half a day after that, we brought in 4,800 cubic yards of that foam glass aggregate that I brought last time. But this is again just really highlighting at peak that we were for this construction. We had 3 cranes on site, or if you include the E-crane, and just a lot of material coming over the waterway. So really just trying to keep as much out of the city as possible. Final alternative routes to bring it in without being kind of disruptive. And there's 3 cranes in action. I haven't seen them. But the gray blob in the middle is that foam glass aggregate stockpile they're able to bring over, and that got filled in as we finished up the wharf structure and backfill behind it. And this is from May, so this is obviously we are well past here now. But just to give kind of a perspective, the topping slab photos that Patrick was showing with the precast deck panels, that started right around there. So all of this is already a topping slab that has those fascia panels. It's all there. So it's made a lot of progress in a very short amount of time.
It's done? Is that?
So Patrick showed.
Structure itself is done, and we're working on the hard too.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, and it's really very kind of every single day in the progress that comes, especially as we're installing the hardscapes and it starts to come to life. And of course, if there's any questions, I don't think I forwarded this invite to our. Yeah, it's not even.
Reach out to Kyle.
Reach out to Kyle because he got sent a meeting invite, so. But that's all we've got on this deck.
Now, before we end on, and we'll go back, there are questions about the logistics, but some of the nice things that are happening with this project, Greg Scripps and AC from Stantec used to come here often in the beginning to present to you their vision and the idea of recyclability. They haven't been here because the construction manager is here to talk about the execution. But it's really to them that what Ethan is showing right now has been so unbelievable. The whole team really jumped on this whole sustainability and the vision. The Conservancy of Lori was really advocating this. The seal was on early, static driving. And EDC. And they listen. They listen. Really quick chart to make this happen. Yeah.
One thing.
Fantastic, thank you.
One thing I'll also add to that is that, so, not to our own horn, but our project was selected for the national NJSL, or sorry, ASLA conference.
New Jersey ASLA conference, keynote speakers, and we're going to New Orleans.
Congratulations.
I mean,
American Society for Landscape Architecture.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really
We're very appreciative of the mindfulness that you used on this project and the amount of community feedback that you took in, and including keeping the beloved parts. I mean, it's a very tricky little zone there.
It's a very tricky little zone.
It didn't have everything we asked for, but we have time in the future to electrify those spots and work on other things as we look forward to the future. But this is a really nice meeting of the past and the current and the future in terms of a project.
Yes, right? So are you, do we move into some other portion of this, or is this,
The part that
Diana?
came up that
I mean, can I
they
just ask
haven't
Diana?
covered.
Yeah, are you,
That's-
is that-
So you have to come more on Friday Seaport. Alexis can talk about Friday Seaport and that southern tie-in. It's all the
That's what I
same
thought
areas
was-
we're discussing.
okay.
So if you like, we could go through that quickly before
I
we.
Yeah.
want to
Thank-
finish with this though first, because the one thing that they haven't talked about that we brought up on our call that was really important. We love this project. It's working great, everything except for the one part of safety and security when it comes to the staging and the delays. So that's a big concern that we have, because if you go back to the map, you've got the playground that's over there is gonna need repair and be using repair soon. You've got the sea glass carousel, and you have the restaurant that's there. And it's a safe zone because you've got the bathrooms, you've got Enliven. It's the only place that you can actually get to see the water in the battery at the moment is that corner. That's it. There's no other place that you can access to go see that you're on the island and there's water here. So it's lovely because the boats are over there and everything else that goes. Right now, with the delay that you have it, the restaurant's due to close at the end of July. The last time the restaurant closed, homeless people broke into it. They turned on the gas, they cooked inside, they broke the furniture. It does not make sense to us as a safety and security aspect for that whole side of the park that that building will be closed. I understand that the project is delayed, and if it hadn't been, then you would have just been cycling through and we would have been going great and everything would have been chick, chop, chop. But now we're 5, maybe 6 months of having nothing there. And that's a safety concern. We've been struggling, as everyone in this room knows, with the ticket vendors and with the vendors in the park.
Sarah Nielsen, Dr.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I have some information that might be helpful for this part of the conversation. So I thought I would chime in. Is that okay?
Yes, certainly is.
Okay, hi, thank you. So yeah, we really appreciate the concern around having the view be not occupied. I checked in with our concessions team today, and they are actually working with the restaurant to stay open for a while longer. And I don't have a lot of additional details on that, but it is definitely something that they're working to have the restaurant stay active and open. And so we can get back to you when I have a little bit more information about that piece. And I just wanted to say that in the event that doesn't work out, we will also just have Parks can move in there and occupy that building and be part of it and as a Parks facility for a while until the next thing needs to happen. But we totally understand we don't want to leave it vacant.
Sarah, having offices there is not the same as having a venue that does the bathrooms and has eyes and people. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
Security, since NPS is there, there is a US Park Police presence there all the time.
24/7?
No, they
Pretty
close,
sure, right?
not when they're closed at night.
Yeah, but I will say the plan A is to keep the restaurant operating, and so we're focusing on that right now, and we can keep you posted as that progresses. But totally
That's
totally
good
hear you
news.
loud and clear. Yeah.
Yes, Sarah, on that, just note, I happened to be there today, this morning at the park, and I noticed that both of the kiosks are now closed. Is that, going to be permanent? And what's going on with those lovely kiosks that were a lovely addition to the park? Does anyone know?
I heard they're opening next year. I asked. You're talking about where they serve the treats? Like
Not
the
sure.
coffees and stuff?
It was like run by a group called Pixie or.
Yeah,
Pixie, and
they're
there were two
opening
of them.
next year.
Okay, well,
They
is
showed-
that being confirmed by Parks here? Just want to make sure we
That's
know
okay.
what's what.
I'm just looking at my
Anyone know?
notes. Oh, Hope has a comment. Hope would like to be. Yeah.
Can we give a, she's.
And I'm checking my notes in the meantime. Sorry, I think I saw some notes about the little cafes too. But Hope may
Is
have,
Hope-
yeah.
Hope is here, I don't see her hand.
Maybe she's on the telephone number there.
No, she's there.
Oh, she's there, yeah, yeah. Hope you can speak. You're on.
I think she's muted.
He's still muted.
She can unmute herself, she's a panelist.
Hope, if you have any thoughts on the
She may have stepped away.
Pixie kiosk and also just generally, I had a question on the Conservancy's, sense of this and how the Conservancy is.
Oh,
involved.
Hope says she's trying to talk. She's muted. Does she need to be made a presenter?
She is a presenter, she
Oh,
just has to
okay.
unmute herself. Isn't she a presenter up there?
She's a participant, she's not a, attendee.
She's a panelist already.
Yes.
Hmm.
She should be able to unmute herself.
Yeah, Hope, do you see down at the bottom of the screen, on the left side, the mute, unmute?
Is she on the phone? No.
We cannot unmute somebody, we can only request unmute, they have to do
Oh.
it themselves.
I explained that. Well,
We can mute somebody if they're talking, but we can't unmute them.
Alice, just to let you know, I did speak with the Conservancy about the Pixie because I frequent that park every day.
Yeah, me too.
And they said that they had to close it due to the construction. They were concerned about not getting enough people coming in and that it would affect, but that it's slated to open next season when they're done.
all right, well, let's hope that.
That's what I was told.
Yeah, right. Well, hopefully that's accurate and sounds good to me. So everybody who was curious about
But-
that.
That is more to my point of, we don't have any food and beverage in the park. And Wagner will not have any food and beverage until Q4 at the earliest. So there is, it becomes a desert to attracting people, and we want to keep people.
Is there something we're missing here?
Hey, I see Hope, that's a better sign.
We see you, but we don't hear you. Why can't we get her on? Is there something we're not doing?
No, she just has to unmute herself.
All right, well, another question, just, at what point do you think the sort of, all of the protection along the edge of the whole park will come down? In other words, just as you're walking along Battery Place, when will that,
On the top of the open?
Yeah, exactly. Is there a sense of that?
Along the waterfront or?
No.
No, well, both frankly.
But the
Yeah.
street, yeah.
But on the street, and I would say in that vein, whenever that's coming down, and I look forward to the answer, is it's not working beautifully in terms of the entry there. You're nodding your head, you're fully recognizing it's a total. And just knowing where the entrance is, and so if somebody's coming from for example, the Jewish Heritage Museum to go to the park, you really don't know unless you have to be.
So that fence that in the purple area, that's all of the PPCA project, that's their fence.
Right.
The nose, whereas the top at the nose, that's us, and then into like sort of that Bowling Green Station entrance.
Yeah, that's you.
That's where, you can enter.
And when's that
Yeah,
coming
it's
down?
not very well worn.
The nose part is
Yeah, yeah,
you?
sure.
That's.
Can you put forward or back?
Yeah.
The different color barriers going up right at the tip of Battery. and
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of.
Face it towards there.
delineation between the two projects.
I see.
So,
And when
can
will
we
that
just click the
be?
next slide on that?
Yours.
Can you click the next slide for him?
Working with when Prairie Park City project. kind of take those down, kind of-
I mean, does she get?
That one.
Right.
Well, so that's
That
an
one.
excellent point. So I bike there all the time, right? And so I know the other parts of BPCA, but the part where you turn that curve right there, the ticket scalpers have opened it up and they allow people to
Right.
come in. And if someone's,
Yes.
I'm surprised we
It is,
haven't had.
We've been trying to.
Water filled those.
I've walked,
I personally went out
I
there.
went out there on a Saturday afternoon, I walked every single one.
And they unlocked it.
They have, done everything short, torching.
They,
Yes.
they ripped a couple barriers apart somehow.
Yeah.
We've got
They
everything.
burned them, it's.
Can we do it? Is there anything that can, besides take them away? Will you take them away soon?
Directly.
We collect trash too.
Yeah, and I think it's something that just has to be coordinated with the DOT license that was put out there as at their request to direct that bike, that bikeway traffic be separate from the pedestrians. So, I mean,
But did we have that before you started the project? Did we need to direct that?
I think that there was multiple flows, that there was a
Yeah.
bikeway flow and a pedestrian flow now that.
And we
there's
had
both.
walls.
Yeah, or like different areas in the park where those flows were.
Okay.
I think now they're both on the sidewalk. DOT wanted a visible barrier.
So it sounds like you'll be working on that entry question. Potentially we have more restaurants, small kiosks open. Is that what we're?
Well, I mean, I just saw Hope mention in the comments, should be at Francis Tavern to talk about their kiosks,
Oh, perfect, right, tomorrow.
tomorrow. As far as the entryways, we're really, it's a big coordination item with us in South Barry Park City, just because us removing that earlier than anything, it doesn't really do any benefit. So it's really once that bikeway is reestablished, that's when we'll work to be able to pull down, reestablish the bikeway. We're entering and exiting the site from South Street, phase 2. And we have a ton of salvage granite that we've already had take off of phase 2 for the National Parks temporary facility. So all that's still being stored in our staging area. So that will be lightly traversed across the park during phase 2, only to bring that salvage chiller back installed. And that's where keep going.
I was giving a tour this morning and I'm not just the area,
Mhm.
and I was wondering, they asked me, when sitting in the Battery in one of those lovely chairs that are out with the wonderful fountain is, you're sitting there and you have the wall down. Will you see clearly onto the waterfront, or will that fence be what you're really seeing at eye level? I'm just curious how high.
We have.
You should remember the perspective.
There's renderings online.
I believe there's renderings online, but we may have an image somewhere of sort of how it will work.
Yeah, you did a long time ago. I assume it's the same, but
You'll still see far out from the water. you'll
for the
see-
statue, right, yeah, I was just curious.
When you're on the work, it doesn't seem as fast and high as you may think.
Right.
3-foot elevation climb from where you're standing, like if you're standing where the fountain is right now.
Right.
You're really only going up.
That's what I, 3 feet, okay, I was read about that, okay, that's interesting. All right, other questions, Tammy?
The fencing that is on the north east side of Bowling Green Station, all those orange ones that are over by the bike path, is that you or BPCA?
That's us.
The orange ones are us.
Okay.
The brown ones are us.
We would love some real focus on trying to add some more signage, because it's gonna be there for a little while longer, for where the pedestrians should be going and where the bicyclists should be going. Very, very critical from from the bottom of Broadway all the way down there. Because the ticket hawkers also move all of your fencing.
They also rip down
every-
all of our signs that say just.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't care if you have to hang it from a pole. But I mean, we're at that point that it is very dangerous, because tourists are being welcomed into the bike lane, and the interactions between the two are not positive. And the whole conversation isn't working well. So anything that you can do, I don't care how, what that would make that safer for pedestrians and less painful would be great. And back for Sarah Nielsen, when you said you're working something out for Park for having a kiosk, the restaurant, to have somebody there, are we talking about until the tent comes down? So like something that's gonna be there for 6 months, or are we talking something for 2 weeks? Like consistency is the joy of public safety.
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep the existing operator in place longer. I think that's what they're working on. So again, I can get more details for you, but that was the update I was able to get today. Sorry, I don't have more information, but that's what I was able to get.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have questions? I just have one other, but anybody else for this part? And then we're gonna let Diana and Alexis finish the tie-in conversation. I just want with everybody in this room that knows so much about all of this, can somebody update on Pier A, like what exactly? I saw there's the windows seem new on the building, I've noticed today. What gives? Anything that we could know here?
I don't. When we were discussing it on Friday, I think Jordan was going to check in on the latest and he wasn't able to come this evening, but.
Could we get it for tomorrow?
Sure, and also Jordan will be there tomorrow, so.
All right, well,
I'll check in with him after this meeting and remind him so that we can.
Yeah, because I think
discuss with all these
pretty clearly, yeah. Now that the poor thing is dwarfed entirely by this new pavilion, I'm wondering, what will it become? So, okay, hit it, you guys, you want to finish?
Need to swap back to the other deck, the appendix.
Okay. Turn it back to the deck that says battery, Lower Manhattan Coast Resiliency. Let's go back.
Thank you very much.
And that was a great update. Yeah, and yeah, you're well earned for the. It's been tremendous.
Everyone's part here, it's really not full shout out, see all from the others.
So,
yeah.
yeah, for sustainability officer, wonderful, yeah. Okay. Okay. And I think, oh, no, where do you, is that?
What page do you want?
Yeah, where do you want to go from?
So it comes after next
step.
No, yeah, keep going down. After questions and answers, yeah. So I just included, these are not part of the formal presentation. We usually include appendix slides in case questions are asked that are easily answered visually. So this isn't advancing.
Can you just go ahead and when Alexa says next, just,
yeah,
she's not able to do it, she said.
Sometimes it gets cranky. You'll just have to hand.
So this is a slide you've seen before, but it shows where we are in the overall timeline. And now we are advancing to environmental review, which obviously unlocks many, many other things that lead us closer to implementation and construction. And then I did include just an overview of the Battery Wharf project, the South Battery project, since we often get the question, how did these three come together? I wanted to make sure if there were questions about that we could speak about it.
Hold that up for just a second.
Yeah.
It's a new slide. I haven't seen this one.
And thank you for doing this slide.
Yeah, we need to talk about it. Just give us a.
Yeah, so the
idea.
So the idea is obviously that, so 3 coastal resilience projects are coming together in the Battery, and we recognize the incredible ask that we're making of this public space. In the near term, obviously, we can look forward to a time when it will be all open again, once the South Battery project also wraps up. The idea in determining the kind of footprint for that higher level of elevation that protects against coastal storm surge for the FIDI project is that we will not disturb areas that have already been subject to construction and materials and all of that effort. And then that we also need to weave in between the underground tunnels, which are shown here, the QL Carry, the Battery Park underpass, and the subway tunnels, which are, all shown in gray. And this will be, it has been the topic of some of our workshops, but we're actually revisiting this and re-explaining kind of some of the site constraints as part of tomorrow's workshop overall.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be stated plainly again that the West Side project and the hopefully East Side project will still have a gap, and that's between the blue dot and the
Exactly.
and the red arrow. point.
Exactly.
And that the work that we just heard about, which is wonderful, is elevated 3 feet, but that's not enough. So that everybody in the room understands that the battery park is designed to flood.
Yes.
But, it will flood way past the park without some sort of.
Higher level
Yeah,
of
exactly. So that's the puzzle piece that's still not planned out yet.
Unless there is something done in the water by the Army Corps. Essentially, right?
Nothing that they're planning.
Yeah, I don't.
Way out.
Well, they could change their mind.
You mean
So far
a
they
storm
reject-
surge gate across the Hudson,
Or-
or across Arizona? Okay, yes, I do not have the latest update on the, Army Corps. I don't believe that was their tentatively selected plan, but it doesn't mean that they can revisit that through future, plan formulation, and then it would change the relative elevations that we would need to achieve if they do end up building that.
I would just, just go back. I was curious, whoever made this,
Emily, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious. It's interesting to see. I was trying to figure out, well, why is Pier A in white as three-dimensional building, but yet the other parks buildings are just shown in plan, or not plan, but just a, color on a in plan. And I was curious, so I would be consistent here because I find it a little hard to read. And particularly now, I would argue that if you're going to take Battery Park City buildings and show them in three-dimensional and white, then you should have the new pavilion. And that will be 3 times the size of that little pier area. And not to criticize or anything, but I think that's fair to understand, what those buildings look like.
Yeah, I'm sure it was actually just a limitation of not having the current elevation model
Yeah,
for
okay.
the pavilion. They're probably doing this in Rhino.
Okay.
I don't know if Emily is still here, but I think that's something we can take.
I'm still here, and that's a great comment. We were really excited to see the plans for the pavilion that were shared recently, so we'll be adding those into our content and plans from here on out now that we have those.
Great, thanks. Oh, okay, keep going, sorry.
Okay, yeah. And then I just have the larger, I think, we always come in and we are speaking about a specific area, which is the focus of tomorrow's workshop, but because there are often questions, and Tammy brought up, the Pier 19 area, this was just a reference in case we have questions about the broader plan.
Is there a reason that there has been no movement to do an additional pier again past the heliport before the giant outreach for the ferry? And why couldn't the ferries be moved further south in order to gain public space? We've talked about that before.
Yeah, so we did actually reduce the footprint of the overall ferry landing terminal. I believe originally it was much wider, so it extended farther north and to the south. Some of the constraints there, I'll try and do the point, will the pointer work for this? Is it
Maybe.
here? Yeah, are they underground? If you can see the MTA tunnels.
But you go over them anyway.
Right, but they need to be bridged. And so, and I don't have my engineer on the line, but this is actually a span that we're making over the tunnels. And so it ends up constraining kind of the orientation, because we can't clear it all the way down this way. And so the span needs to fall somewhere within the actual, let's say like middle, these are floating piers, of the overall ferry footprint. Because we're driving piles, and it's not just piles for the coastal flood defense, it's also piles for the bumpers, the navigation for the New York City ferry, and there's a clearance that MTA requires. I don't think people need to be reminded that those tunnels are over 100 years old.
And it can't be moved at all any further south.
Not within the current configuration and the number of slips that we're maintaining, which is really the minimum number right now, based on electrification, downtime, which means that like, rather than like certain slips are gonna be occupied with recharging. This is really the like optimized design that we got to being able to accommodate NYC Ferry and C Street and waterways and the current demand plus electrification.
So then the one thing that's not shown on here, and it's sort of misleading, Pier 6 heliport is not just a heliport. They're planning on doing last mile delivery and having docking, and their plans were a T-shaped pier when they came to us, which would directly conflict and ruin any kind of public. No, it's T-shaped on the land side, Justine. So that would conflict with any kind of beautiful parkland that you think you have there, because.
Yeah, so the near-term plan for adding cargo landing to the existing heliport is that they're going to build a barge with, again, guiding.
On the north side.
Yes, this is not the current footprint. This master plan actually moves the entire Pier 6 heliport south. And it's optimizing this facility so that it's quite likely that you would no longer need that extension. And you know, depending on the long-term plans for Blue Highways, this is really optimizing the use of a future like fully electrified heliport.
Don't you have the same issue with the MTA subway lines?
Exactly,
You
that
have to go
is.
below it, are they jumping?
This avoids them. Here.
So that the question
That's not
becomes.
where this is now.
Yeah.
The
But
question
You
becomes,
said you're moving.
if you're moving it
south.
You have to go here to avoid.
No, sorry, this is the current Pier, and I'm sorry if people online.
No, yeah, I'm
The
sorry.
current Pier 6
it's up
is around here.
Okay, so that is.
So
the
we're
moved
completely reconstructing it and moving it south.
Where it is.
15 now?
Pier 15 is right here.
which we
And
want
that's
to
the
change.
one that, you know, we'd love for you just not to knock it down.
Yeah.
You know,
So it will need to be rebuilt. It's not elevated to protect against sea level rise, so at a.
even if it's not elevated to protect against sea level rise, we'd rather
Don't
have
knock
it
it down.
flood from time to time and still have it than to have it knocked down because
Yeah.
it's not perfect. You know, because we know we're gonna lose the baby with the bathwater if it gets taken down, because we won't have enough money to rebuild it.
Correct.
So I would love for it to just be one of those things like Battery Park that will flood when we have a storm event. And at least we still have something. And did we talk about having green space on top of the ferries for?
Yes, and actually, I mean, this is just a very boxy rendering. We have some updated, as you can see, this is back from October 2024.
Yeah, I'm just really nervous.
We have
about it 'cause
updated renderings.
Because we just have heard an update from Pier 7 or Pier 17, where they're now putting a big giant 5-story tent on top of it. And that was supposed to be a public space for all of us, as we all know. So, you know, I think that to Tammy's earlier point, when you see the green, especially if the heliport is now creeping into the south side of the green space, you know, it's not a lot of green space. And it's certainly not play space, what we would consider for our neighbors.
Or open space.
Yeah,
or
open space, yeah.
Programmable space.
And they
It's,
need it.
it's pathways to get to a,
Yeah.
it's pathways to get to a ferry.
Yeah.
And I'm not really quite sure why it has to, if we're gonna do the build out, why you have to go back in right after the commercial area instead of having public space that stays out.
Yeah, I mean, between the new terminal and the
Pier 15.
walkways, you know, just slab it over and put a soccer field there. You know, because that's what everybody wants. We all want a big, you know, what works on the west side is that there are big open spaces that, people can use.
We'd love a pier that could have a volleyball court on it.
Yeah,
We'd love,
exactly.
we'd love we want parity with what we have at Hudson River Park in any stroke of the imagination. Like Gansevoort Pier proved proof positive that a public-private partnership could get you a beachy area. So, having just an overlook and an estuary up there for Brooklyn Bridge Beach doesn't work. And the rest of it really, there is no public space there.
Yeah.
With 15 removed, there is no public space. It is all walkways. And we were already told that, well, the heights would have to make it, that it's not really seatable space. Well, then let's talk about terracing and grills or whatever the case may be, but the public should have something.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is occupiable, space, and it is 8 acres. of
Yeah,
open
But it's
space.
mostly
I think actually, well, I think Emily, and maybe we can come back with this, we actually did an analysis of the overall new space, how much of it is circulation space, how much of it is occupiable green space. And so that is something.
I
that
think
we
all
can-
activated green space,
Yeah.
because that's the.
Yeah, the piece that everyone has always fought for the last 8 years, which is the recreation component.
Yeah.
There's that large scale, green, open space for people, for children, that's.
Or
Which it
older
can happen.
people, I mean, gathering spaces that are not there. And I don't, again, where 15 was, of course, we want to keep it, but why does it need to go back inland? Why can't it just stay out with more green space?
Like here, just right here, right?
Right, why does it have to go back in for green? Why can't it stay out?
So what is driving every bit of kind of how far out this is going is the actual coastal flood defense. And that's something that the regulators who are like monitoring how much fill we're putting in, down to like every inch that we have to mitigate for. Want to make sure their whole approach is avoid, minimize, and then mitigate.
Well, then you could put a platform over it, you could
how about
cantilever it.
How about a pier?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could.
there would still be mitigation. That's because of fish habitat, you're shading when you put, it is different than how they view pure fill.
Which I
But
get,
it
but
is
look at the
additional.
expansion that you've got at Pier 11, right? So I feel like, and please don't take this as, I feel like we're being told no for public use and public space. But yes, it's absolutely possible because Pier 6 is being moved and expanded and they're gonna have a floating dock and pier. And Pier 11 for the ferry terminals are being massively, significantly expanded compared to where we are today. Because that's a commercial use and we need that, but the public space is not on the same level of priority and care for any conversations that we're having.
Yeah, and I know that this needs mayoral leadership and we don't have that right now. I mean, that's the
Maybe.
unfortunate. So that the community's concerns need leadership that we aren't hearing those voices and we're hearing from the voices that have impact. So, we're trying. So thank you. And we appreciate you always listen to us. But we're going to keep raising it as much as possible.
Understood. Yeah,
So I well understand, and I think it is a critical point, because what an incredible opportunity to finally have a park down here. I mean, yeah.
I would add too, you have more public space there, you're gonna drive more money there.
Yeah, right.
People are gonna have more coffee or-
To bring in stuff like that.
This is how we do economic development, is by bringing people to the neighborhood to stay.
Yes,
And
public
it's-
space is economic development.
Yeah, no, we know you guys get it, and so we're preaching to the choir, but we're just saying out loud that we are seeking mayoral.
No, we're seeking for a change in this.
Yes, we'll be singing to the choir tomorrow night too, it sounds like. Is there anything else from anybody that, I'm gonna sit down with that.
We're gonna have to.
That, any comments or questions before we close down the meeting tonight? And did you have anything else, Diana or Alexis, to add to this?
Do you want us to stay and do another hour?
No. I'll be ordering pizzas.
Can you just describe the funding, Alexis, for the Seaport Coastal Resilience piece? That didn't get mentioned. That is all fund, we're all set with that. That didn't get more money. It doesn't need more money.
I actually cannot speak to that,
Okay.
because it is not my project. I think we either need Jordan,
Okay.
um, uh,
All right, we'll hit him on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Put you on the
we can
spot.
ask, and this is another answer that we can prepare for tomorrow.
Oh, that would be swell.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, everybody.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you. Take care. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.